Thank you and good afternoon. In 1788, in an effort to support the ratification of the Constitution of the United States, Alexander Hamilton conveyed his confidence to his fellow Americans that the Constitutional Convention had, quote, guarded against all danger of cabal, intrigue, and corruption in the election of a president. It is clear, however, that Hamilton never anticipated the lawless, unconstitutional, and unethical perversions of Donald Trump and his henchmen. If he had, he would never have given his assurance that treachery by an elected president sworn to faithfully abide by the letter and the virtues of the law would be deterred by the careful balance of proscriptions in the Constitution. Hamilton simply didn't account for or ever imagine the chaos, the craven defiance of the Constitution, and the disgraceful betrayal of the oath of office that infect the presidency of Donald Trump. On the 100th day of a second term in office, when asked directly if he had a mandatory duty to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, the president muttered, "I don't know." And I quote, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know." Now, absent delusion, deception, ignorance, or all of the above, how could Donald Trump not know or remember when only 3 months prior he took the presidential oath of office and solemnly promised millions of Americans, with his hand on the Bible for the second time, that he would faithfully, and I quote, execute the office of President of the United States and would, to the best of his ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. It is as predictable as night following day that Donald Trump will ignore and transgress the ethical and legal boundaries of the law and the Constitution at his whim and caprice. There is virtually no ethical obligation or moral code that guides or confines his actions, his snide accusations, his sociopathic lies, or his brutish behavior. Vengeance and extortion are his weapons of choice to enforce the demands, and his only boundaries are the limits of what he wants, what he covets, what he misappropriates, including, without our consent, the soul and the goodness of America. Simply put, the administration of Donald Trump is the most ethically corrupt and tarnished in the history of the Republic. Hamilton's conviction that, quote, the convention had guarded against all danger of this sort with the most provident and judicious attention, turns out to be, with the dawn of Donald Trump in the White House, a pale illusion that has been shattered into 1,000 pieces. Without regard or realization, Donald Trump has soiled the presidency with incomparable regularity, unparalleled conflicts of interest, ethical breaches, and repetitive lies, defiance of court orders, and continually attacking the judicial branch of government, merchandising cars on the White House lawn, auctioning off tours of the White House for support of his private interests, calling for the disassembly of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, thereby failing in his most basic duty to safeguard the American people imperiled by the destruction of disasters and other destructive devices, and accepting, to crown it off, a $400 million luxury aircraft as a gift for his comfort and his adoration as a gift for his comfort and adoration in spite of untold national security and ethical prohibitions. We have a person occupying the presidency of the United States who has argued for the termination of various articles of the Constitution and proposed that as president, just as Napoleon did, he is above the law. He's approved the emasculation of congressionally mandated and essential government services. He's threatened the Supreme Court, suggested sending American citizens to foreign prisons, asked the Secretary of Defense when protesters were filling the streets around the White House, can't we just shoot them?
No!
Just shoot them in the legs or something. He disrupted the entire world economy to the punishing disadvantage of the American people, unilaterally imposed an incomprehensible tariff plan that changes from moment to moment, precipitating economic mayhem and chaos around the world. He's extorted law firms in an act of retribution to provide nearly $1 billion in free legal aid to Trump administration designees. He's withdrawn billions from the nation's universities in retaliation for what he falsely claims to be widespread political bias. And the next sleight of hand, Donald Trump's shameful and misnomered big, beautiful bill. Which will bloat the national debt by trillions, cut student loans and Pell Grants, take away existing allocations for Medicaid funding, mental health, and food nutrition programs, transfer massive Medicaid funding requirements to the states, provide the administration with loopholes to escape contempt of court sanctions, and attempt to sell off our private lands and our public lands, threatening the landscape we cherish, the landscape we share, the landscape we breathe, and the water we drink. We, the people, quite frankly, have waited too long in the face of overwhelming evidence to draw and act upon numerous inescapable conclusions, to stand up and speak out. Undoubtedly, in the hearts of decent men and women, there is a certain sadness born in the public declaration that the President of the United States, as a matter of character and capacity, is not equipped with the ability, the composure, the compassion, the character, the competence, or the conscience to render the leadership so desperately needed in our country and the world today. The evidence is inescapable, absolutely unescapable, that Donald Trump, and it's arguably clear, is not fit to serve as President of the United States.